Well, hi everyone, I hope you had a great weekend. I'm in my car on my lunch hour doing this video, so please forgive it if it's not as totally professional as you know I do them all. Haha. Hey, last week we talked about my great Aunt Zella and what a great person she was and how I wish I would have gotten the opportunity to know her. Today I thought we could talk, just end up with the census. We talked about the census and how important it was for locating brothers and sisters and other people who are involved, and that it could lead you to other places in your journey. I wanted to explain a little bit. My mom was adopted when she was born in 1935. She would go to 81 years old, not knowing any more about her family than that. And I convinced her to let me do her DNA, and I told her I was working on things. And we didn't when my grandparents were alive. I did it quietly. I didn't do it because I didn't know how they would feel about it. And that may be something you have to wrestle with a little bit yourself. And so we just chose to do it quietly. But I finally got her to let me do her DNA. I had done mine. But what was fun was that about a year after I did my DNA in 2011, there weren't a lot of people yet who had done theirs in my family, but finally I had a cousin pop up about a year later and say, hey, I'm so-and-so, and so we talked and got to know each other a little bit. Well, a couple years later, another sweet cousin popped up, and she was writing and telling me all about, or telling us all about this lady that was her, I believe she'd be her great-great-grandmother. Well, I wrote back, and because it sounded almost like she didn't have a sister, and I wrote back and said, hey, she's got a sister, and her name's this, and she wrote back to me and said, well, how do you know that? And I said, well, because she was my grandmother. She's my great-grandmother, and so she's your aunt. So she goes, well, I don't get it. So I had to explain to her, and that's sometimes part of the problem with when you're adopted. You don't know how much you want to give up or not give up. You don't want to be offending anybody. You don't want them to feel funny. But so far, it's been a real blessing. We've just really had great results from it. A year ago, is when I finally was able to connect my mother to her half-brother and her half-sister. So it goes like this. My mom had the same mother and father. My uncle had the mother, though, to my mother, and my aunt had the father to my mother. So my mom's kind of the catalyst that holds all the glue together. So a year ago, though, we went to Texas and met my Uncle Jack, and he's wonderful, my Aunt Ima, and what great people they are. And here these kids all are, 81 years young, 79 years young, 75 years young. It's just been a great opportunity. And then this past May, my mom had been real sick, and so my auntie, she came to Arizona to meet my mom, and she got to meet her, and she brought my cousin, and we got to all just enjoy a visit together. So in 2019, in February, as long as everybody's health holds out, because remember, I've got these young teenagers I'm dealing with, I want to take my mom to Arkansas to see my auntie, and to Texas to see my uncle again, and visit with more family. It's just been such a great opportunity. My Uncle John is who my mom was raised with, of course, because my grandparents raised him, and we love him to death too, and my Aunt Charlotte, and great blessings they are in our life. And just don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to reach out there and let somebody know who you are and what you're all about. There can't be anything bad that comes from it when people are already deceased anyways. I mean, none of us here comes without our problems or our issues and patterns, and so we can't be judgmental of anybody else who has had that in their past either. Times were different and people struggled, and they still do today. We have a lot of babies that are born with families that aren't really together. So it happened then, it happens now, just that we shouldn't be so uptight about all of that. Anyways, I wanted to show you a picture because I really am. I love my family. I'll get you better ones. This is my Uncle Jack and my Aunt Ima on our visit to go see them, and my mom and Uncle Jack are sitting together. And then this is her sister. This is my Auntie Ann, and what a treasure. I have these great treasures. I just cannot believe after all these years and all the work that has gone into this that I was able to make this connection, and able to make it when these three individuals were still walking on the earth. I could have lost one or all of them, and they'd have never met, and that would have been okay. I could have lived with it, but it would have been sad too. So I'm really grateful for that. So hey, keep doing your research, your census reports, looking in books, talking to people, getting your interviews together. We'll talk more about where you can go next to start helping yourself a little bit more. I just was going to show you these earrings. This is part of my collection that I work on. They're just 3 hoops, pretty simple, and I call them blue flame. In the Native American community, red, orange, yellow, and white are considered flame. Well, I call these blue flame because to me it's like when you look at a welder's torch, it gets kind of pink and purple and blue. So anyways, I like them. They're real pretty. They're fun to make. Wanted to also discuss with you, let me see if I can show it to you, this piece of artwork right here. So if you're starting to work on a picture or something, or your ancestry or whatever it is, build yourself a background. This is a background that I'm doing right now. It's a great big beautiful sunflower. But here's the cool thing. I have a beautiful little granddaughter who is in folklorico with her prima, her little cousin. And they were dancing, and so I've got pictures of that. So I'm going to intertwine these girls within this sunflower, because sunflowers are beautiful and bold, and these little girls in their pretty folklorico dresses are beautiful and bold as well. And I think it'll end up being pretty cool. So I'll keep you updated on that. Still working on my other paintings and all the things that I try to do. All right, so today we talked about the result of doing some DNA back in 2011 and being able to connect my folks to each other, you know, all my people together. It's just been a wonderful experience. I really encourage you to do it. Even if it's not exactly what you want to see, or you think something's missing, it could be. You just may not have enough that it still shows up after all this time. So don't be discouraged. Do your paperwork, keep it together. You never know. So grateful for the prayers and thoughts for the folks back east that have had to deal with Hurricane Florence, and our hearts go out to all of them still as they're trying to recover and find their folks. Remember, watch your kids. We've got a lot of bad people out there trying to snatch our little ones, our big girls, our little girls, our boys. Don't let anybody near your kids that you don't know, and kids, learn to fight and look for some help. Don't get yourself in a place where you shouldn't be, okay? Anyways, remember, happy's a choice. We've got a lot of people in some real bad situations who still find a way to be happy every day. Please go to YouTube if you would. Subscribe to my video if you like it. It helps me and encourages me to continue on. And I hope I'm giving you information that you enjoy and you like. Come back and see me. Leave me your questions. If you have questions about things, please go ahead and leave me questions, and I'll try and help you with it. Not great on everything, but I've done okay. And yo hablo poquito español, so if you have some in Spanish, and just do your best. Put the question out there. I've got a translator if I don't understand it, and I'll get back to you, okay? Remember, your blood calls you. Go find it. Remember me, I'm Native by Heart Art by Sean Shelton. I'd love to see you guys subscribe. Thank you so much for your time, and have a blessed day. Bye-bye.